Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike Glover, Fieldcraft Survival. On behalf of Black Rifle Coffee Company's Pro Tips, I hope you're enjoying the content because I'm enjoying making it for you. Guys, I want to talk about contingency-based planning. Green Berets and other special operations units and organizations train, plan, and execute based on contingencies. What I mean is we expect things to go wrong. So we have a primary plan and objective, but then things fall apart, and then we could quickly adapt fluidly because we planned it to the next contingency in our planning in order to succeed. So a lot of people don't go into things thinking that things are going to fail. Well, if you're a Green Beret, you assume that your original plan is going to change, and then you plan accordingly. It's one thing to say that I'm going to plan a contingency, but it's different to be prepared to execute a plan of contingency with the service and support that's going to back up that plan. So we have something that I'm going to give you today on Pro Tips called a PACE plan. And the PACE plan stands for primary first and foremost. The primary plan of our PACE is going to be the thing that we hope to accomplish right out the gate. So let's talk about communications, because this PACE plan can be attributed to everything that's in your life, preparedness-based, but also life-based. You should have a PACE plan for your relationships. You should have a PACE plan for all things preparedness, everything that you could think a PACE plan adapts to. So let's take a commo plan when you're going hiking, for example. What's my primary? Well, GSM CDMA, basic cell phone reception. My cell phone is my primary comms plan. Why? Because I got reception. And if I have reception and I could text, I could make phone calls, why would I pretend like the walkie-talkie I bought from Bass Pro is somehow going to be my PACE plan? It's not. Your cell phone will be. So my primary is the most likely course of action that I'm going to lean on that's reliable. Now, let's say I planned for a hike into the Grand Canyon, and all the cell phone reception towers that I accounted for in my planning process shows that I should have reception at the Grand Canyon. One thing that I didn't plan for in thinking about hiking is that I'm going to go down into the Grand Canyon. And guess what? It's not like elevation where you gain reception potentially. I'm going to lose reception. So my alternate comms plan is going to be my inReach or Iridium Sat, which means all I need is a clear view of the sky, and then I'll be able to communicate, because satellite communications doesn't depend on towers. It depends on a clear, unobstructed view of that particular satellite, which then allows me to communicate. So if I'm in trouble, I can communicate via SMS or voice via SATCOMs. But let's say I didn't pay attention to the satellites and their pattern, because satellites go around the Earth in its orbit, and maybe for a period of time or in that specific area, I haven't accounted for that. Then I'm going to have to set into plan my contingency. Well, my contingency is ham radio communications, which is going to allow me to communicate to certain base stations or people who are also on ham radio. The cool thing about ham radio is it's the universal radio communication method for all things emergency. So FEMA and other institutions and organizations, when they're relaying coordination or telling people there is a catastrophe, they're going to do it on ham radio. But if I don't have the base relay communication network that's going to hop that frequency, I won't be able to communicate outside of line of sight or outside a line of base relay stations that I have at my disposal. So let's say I go on my ham radio and I'm not picking anybody up. Well, I can't communicate. The emergency, which is the last ditch kind of effort, and remember, you could have multiple PACE plans for the same communications piece, the emergency is going to be time and place. And that's almost foolproof. So let's say I'm communicating to people outside of myself when I'm communicating this PACE plan so I can coordinate for service and support for people who are going to be monitoring that I'm going into the Grand Canyon doing a rural hike. I could say, hey guys, this is my PACE plan. I could brief them on it. I could have it written down in printed form, and they could have coordinating instructions so they could do the due diligence and making sure they have checked everything out with me. So they check it and go, well, Mike's primary plan was cell phone. His alternate, sat phone. His contingency, ham radio, and his emergency was time and place. Let's say I plan 24 hours in advance. I would say, hey, I'm going to link up. If you don't hear from me in my primary, alternate, and contingency, I'm going to link up with you at the ranger station because it's within walking distance. And if I don't link up in that time and place, you should be concerned. So I set a primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency, even in my time and place. So in 24 hours, if you haven't heard from me, expect to see me at 12 noon at the ranger station. If I'm not there, the alternate is wait an additional hour. Don't get crazy. Don't call 911, call SOS, but wait an hour. If I'm not there by 1300, then I want you to start being concerned and I want you to start looking for me. If I'm not there by 1400 in my contingency and then 1500 in my emergency, you know something has happened and you need to notify search and rescue. This is the way that a PACE plan works in all methodology in special operations, because we know that if we create a primary plan and we don't have an alternate, contingency, and emergency in our planning apparatus backed with service and support, then it's likely we're going to fail. Remember, Murphy Law applies to all planning, period. So it's likely that something's going to go wrong along the way. And when it comes to commo, when it comes to tactical operations, when it comes to your life, you should have a PACE plan. Primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency, multiple layers of redundancy in all things that I plan in my life. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that pro tip. I hope you apply it to your life. Remember, you could see more of this stuff on Fieldcraft Survival's YouTube, podcast, and all of our content on fieldcraftsurvival.com. Until next time, stay alert, stay alive.